executive directors do. They fill holes. They'd be better to have a volunteer. Andrew's going to be involved in it. They'd be better to have a volunteer to do it. And so that's the long and short of that. And I hope I didn't leave anybody else I should have thanked. But yes, we have a lot of legislation this year that has been introduced. Unfortunately, only one bill, well, there's a couple bills out that we're interested in that have bill numbers. I'm going to start out with taxes real fast first before we get to bed bugs. I want you to be able to digest your food before we talk about bed bugs. But taxes, there are a lot of people in this room who are interested in the commercial property tax situation. I'm not so sure what's going to happen. I mean, when the session started a few weeks ago, it just looked like everything was ready to go. But the more I watched in this second week, and I'm not so sure now. I mean, I think this is an April decision rather than a January decision, so we've got a little time. But we don't even have the Republicans together on what we should do. And then you got the Senate Democrats. So you got a three-legged stool here. And the House Republicans, I think, are trying to engineer something that they think the Senate Democrats will accept and get started. Because people have been talking about property taxes almost since the first bill passed in 1978 that got us into this screw-up. And I know I've seen 3 or 4 or 5 different studies in the last 15 years. I've been kind of working on this for 15 years. So, you know, it takes a long time for some of these things to get done. But the governor has a plan, and the House Republicans have a plan. And they're not together. They're different. The House Republican plan is more trying to get the Senate Democrats to buy into something, other than what the Senate Democrats tried last year, that credit approach where you know, and it really is a narrow niche as to who's going to really benefit from the Senate Democratic bill. And the House bill is like a 14-year deal where you would eventually get down to 40%. And that's what, 2.85% a year. And it just, you know, goes the right way. And there's a case to be made for that because it took a long time for us to get this screwed up. But, you know, here we are. And so sometimes you just like turning a big ship around. It takes a little while to turn it around and get going. And so they have some validity in their argument. And, you know, the governor's plan, of course, is to try to move faster. Last year he wanted to get 40% off through 5 years, and now he's back down to 8. But his plan also has a little catch in it where they guarantee 3 years, and then there's got to be a certain amount of growth, or it's delayed for a while. The House Republican plan is just like 14 years guaranteed, because they don't try to backfill the cities at all. And the governor's plan has got this promise that they're going to send money to the local governments to try to help them with their loss. The House Republicans are saying, you got 14 years to figure this out, and you're only getting nicked a little bit every year. So, and you don't give us credit. I mean, the cities probably rightly so say that the state legislature, when they make a promise to us, it doesn't mean a whole lot. So I guess they've got a point too. So we got all this going on, and it wouldn't surprise me if we got out of town and nothing happened, which is going to be a disaster, because the governor's got some information that I just got this handout yesterday.
Which of those two plans do you think the cities prefer?
The cities, if they had to take anything, they'd like the Senate Democratic plan. Because
I know that, but I mean,
of the two
Republican.
Well, if you put a gun to their head, and the governors and the House Republicans, they'd take the House Republican probably. The governor's saying that if nothing is done, in 8 years from now, the property taxes are going to go up by $2.3 billion. And the interesting thing is, according to their analysis, the worst scenario is going to be on residential. It really is. And I think that is what's really gotten people interested in trying to solve this, because they know if it's one thing for businesses to pay a lot of taxes, it's devastating for homeowners to see their taxes skyrocket. So that's sort of the gun that's to their head. So I'm hopeful that when April comes, after these guys keep jousting about and doing their little political dance that they all have to do, you know, for obvious reasons, that we'll come up with something, and something that's good. And the governor, you know, he's organized. He's working behind the scenes. He's got a bunch of people, you know, he's holding weekly meetings with a lot of the interest groups, trying to make sure that his plan is the one that's done.
Both the Republican plans also address not just commercial, but you know, like the home duplexes or something, they call it residential.
Well, duplexes are residential, but yeah, it's a whole package. It's just not commercial. It's everybody. I got to keep moving because you're going to hear a lot more about property taxes before it's over. Bed bugs. There is a bill out, House Study Bill 520. It's sort of based on the National Apartment Association bed bug model. It's not a bad bill. However, the Attorney General just came out against it. Consumer Protection Division has registered opposed to the bill. Apparently their theory is that residents who bring in bed bugs have no responsibility. If anything happens, that's your problem. You know, you're the one to decide to become a landlord, and it's just part of the cost of doing business. Apparently that's the way they think. I don't know. I never really talked to them. But I did. We're the only people, property management people. I don't see the realtors on that yet. I'll talk to Jennifer. A lot of people are undecided on it. Two associations are for it. You know, landlord associations are for it. And then AG's against it. Everybody else is undecided or sort of neutral support. As Andrew and others have mentioned, this is a two-part thing. Legislation is a two-part issue. You got to be able to create the bills, think through the policy, get your product together, then you got to sell it. That's the hard part, particularly when it gets controversial bills. It takes, and that's why we are excited that Andrew's here, because he's got that marketing mind and the technology mind. And he and I have talked about how to put material together on the website so that people can easily find out who their legislators are. I went to the legislative website. You can't even use the ZIP+4 or your address. That's all screwed up. You can't even find your own legislator anymore. That was that way half of last year. I don't know why they can't figure this out. But but we need that. I mean, and the other part of that is not only information, but our members are going to have to become more political. And we need more of us. We don't have enough of us. We're not the realtors with 5,000, 6,000 members. We're lower in numbers than we should be. And once we get the numbers, we're going to have to train people about politics a little bit, because I know a lot of people watch TV or they read the paper and they say, you've probably heard me say this before if you've ever heard me speak, a lot of people say, I'm just sick of politics. I'm just sick of politicians. You know what? You guys can't afford that. You can't afford that luxury, because the legislature can greatly increase your cost of doing business. So you can't afford it. You know, let other people say they don't like politics or they hate politicians. But see, the mindset has to be different. I mean, for me, this is my 31st year up in the Capitol. I have to get up there every day, and it's not that hard for me. I have to say, God, I like this. This is fun. And I do like it. Otherwise, I'd be dead. I like it. It's a lot of fun. But you guys give me very difficult issues. Very difficult issues. And I'm just telling you, it was easier when we started. We had a lot of quick successes against the cities, against, people. The Attorney General never liked any of our landlord-tenant bills. I mean, the Attorney General's office has been quoted as saying that Iowa's landlord-tenant law is the worst in the country. Thank you. And that's because, we got some stuff done. So they don't like it. I digress. Next bill. And the bed bug bill is first of all, the, forgive me or I'll forget this. The bed bug bill is in the Judiciary Committee. There are 7 legislators from Polk County on the House Judiciary Committee. 7 from Polk County. I mean, if people in this room are really concerned about that bill, I mean, we got to do something. Just getting in there and saying we like it. there's some people that are going, I mean, I don't even know if you know some of these people. Ruth Ann Gaines from Des Moines. Julian Garrett's just right into Warren County. I'd say you probably got some Warren County members. Chris Hagnow from Windsor Heights. He's yours. Glenn Massey, also Warren County, just barely into Warren County. Joe Olson from Polk County. Rick Olson from Polk County. Kim Pearson from Polk County. There you are, Polk County, 7 or 8 people. We got all those 7 or 8, that'd be a good start.
I know 2 of them personally.
Let's start talking to them. I mean, the time is a wasting. And here's the other problem. We set the landlord day on the Hill for a particular date, and they've already moved up the deadlines a week. That week that we're going to be in at the Capitol is the first cutoff week. And I don't know, I've thought about calling you, Andrew, as maybe to move it up a week. And I don't know if that's going to be feasible now. But that's the week, that week a lot of bills are going to die. And here's the thing, this is the other thing I always say, landlord days on the Hill are fine. But they're no substitute for doing the work now. And doing the work in the fall, doing the work in the summer. I mean, sales, wherever you live or wherever you have a business, you've got to somehow gain some kind of familiarity with your legislator so that when you email them, they know who you are. It's not just one of the thousands of emails they get every day. We got to break through that. I mean, there's a lot of competition. That's the problem. Going in the door last week, we had a 10% chance of getting anything done. Just because there's so many bills and there's so little time. And they look at all the stuff and they say, what do we have to do while we're here? The budget takes up a lot of time. Then you got very little time left. I mean, if you can't make a huge case for what you're trying to do, it just won't happen. And we're uphill on all these bills. A bill that we had vetoed in 2007. A lot of people in this room liked this bill in 2007. That city enterprise services bill. We were with the realtors in 2007 on the bill. It got vetoed by Governor Culver. Realtors came back the next year, got their piece that they wanted. And we have a bill that's going to be introduced and takes that vetoed material and puts it back into its own bill. Jeff Kaufman, who's the 3rd person in the House, Speaker Pro Tem. Some of you, I don't know, we had Jeff on day at the Hill last year. Very engaging guy. He's a community college teacher, history, PhD in history, but he'd never tell you that. He just, he's a fast-talking, he's a sharp guy, and he's got our bill. And what we're going to do is he's holding it until Monday. We're trying to get as many co-sponsors as we can. I think I've emailed that out to everybody. The Council Bluffs chapters have got a guy from Council Bluffs that signed on. We need 30, 40, 50 co-sponsors for this bill to have any chance. It's that serious.
That's the city enterprise?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Describe that again.
Well, what it is, and many years ago, this group got the legislature to pass a law that's currently the law that says if you inform the municipal utility of who your resident is, then they're responsible for paying the water, and if they don't pay it, the municipality cannot come back and place a lien on your property. As long as you tell them every time your tenancy changes, you're fine. This bill would have said you'd only have to register your property once as a commercial property where there's tenants. And until you tell them otherwise, they're just going to assume that it's always a place where the tenant's responsible. That's good because you don't have to remember every time the tenancy changes. And in addition to water, it adds all the other enterprise services where the city municipalities act as a business, like sewerage, wastewater, trash pickup, and all those other things. It would treat that just like water. And, we had it done, but the big lug didn't like it, so I keep calling them because his wife called him that. So we're coming back with that one, and I talked to Jeff yesterday, and he's holding off a couple more days. At the end of the day, Monday, he's going to file it. And it's up to us to get as many co-sponsors. You know 2 people? They need to be co-sponsors. They need just, all they got to do is go tell Jeff Kaufman they want a co-sponsor. Neither one of those guys were around in 2007, so they won't have a clue what the bill is. And you can explain it to them. This is what we need. I mean, if we don't get 30 or 40 co-sponsors, it'll probably die. Because the cities will be all over. There's a lot of them. But we like this bill. I mean, and even if we don't get it done this year, we'll educate as many people as possible. And next year we'll go again. We're just not going to stop. I mean, unless Andrew and others tell me to quit. We'll just, you know, it took 30 years to get fair mutual basic in the state, so we don't want to wait 30 years on this. Another bill that a lot of you have interest in, and I'm moving right along. I know we're running out of time. Occupancy standards. I know that some of the we have Windsor Heights, West Des Moines, different places that on your rental properties they tell you how many unrelated people can live in your rental properties. The Ames rental property group went to the Iowa Supreme Court with this a few years ago and lost 4-3. And there's a very great opinion that was written by Justice Wiggins. Did I send that out to people? Have you? Anybody get that? All right, I'll send that out to everybody. Des Moines Register, very often, it's not too often that we like to say nice things about them, but they actually editorialized in favor of our position, saying that cities should use some other basis for this, including just, you know, square footage per room, whatever. And that's the way it's, and what we're going to introduce is saying that cities have the right to have occupancy standards. I love to give away stuff they've already got. You know, we just start out by saying cities have the right to do this, but it should be done only on the basis of square footage, those kinds of standards, rather than unrelated people. Now that bill will come out in the Senate, and it will be in state government committee. I'm trying to avoid the local government committee, because that's where the local governments are strongest. So I asked the chair of the state government committee to put there. So cities will be irritated that it's in the wrong committee. That's too bad. Landlord-tenant legislation. There will be some. There will be a bill out any day now. I understand they were having a little drafting problems with it, the lawyers at LSA. But it'll be out soon, and that won't be any slam dunk either. A lot of that bill is just sort of moving things around to make it more logical. But probably the big thing about it is the security deposit piece, I would think, where today, as you know, this group here was involved years ago. I believe you were, or maybe we did that before I started working with you. I don't remember. But anyway, there used to be a big problem with late charges on rent being part of the state usury law. You get very little money for that. There were court cases. Landlords were losing, even if you were charging $1 a day, you were losing under the usury law. We got that changed sometime in the 90s. And as you know, the limit is no more than $40 a month, no more than $10 a day. I think this bill is going to probably say no more than $20 in a day and no more than $80 in a month. But now, our group and the other landlord group I lobbied for want to offer an amendment saying no more than 10% of the rent, so that once you get in there, you would never have to change it, and no more than probably $20 a day. That'll be controversial, of course, but just to show you how times have changed. We got that original limitation done when the Democrats were in control. It was an issue. You know, people are different. We've got different characters at different times. There will be a bill that the other group wanted to do, or at least some of the other group wanted to do, and they passed their board of directors, but it has to do with sprinklers. Anybody in here got any issues with sprinkler systems at all? See, that's the problem. That's the problem with having all these diverse chapters around the state, diverse landlord groups. Everybody's got a different kind of little problem, and I think the real issue for us in the future is to have, and I know Andrew wants to do this, to have even better communication. And not to say we didn't try to have communication in the past, but to try to have even better communication among the groups, so that we have a little coordination from a just landlord perspective. so that we all kind of get excited about issues together rather than throwing a bill in there that, you know, maybe one city chapter likes but nobody else cares about. I mean, I guess my solution to that was just to say, okay, I'll get it introduced for you, then you see if you can pass it. I mean, there are only so many hours in the day. That's 6 things that I brought up for you. Any questions? I see it's about 14 minutes till. Yes.
Joe, just I don't know if you've heard about this, but I know a landlord in Cedar Rapids and talk discussions about they were trying to bring up this every third tenant had replaced carpet.
I've not heard about that. That's a landlord idea?
No.
That's a city idea? That's a city idea? I thought you said some landlords, but some landlords was telling me.
about it, that they were.
Well, you know, the city of Cedar Rapids, Lynn County landlord chapter has had a lot of problems with the city of Cedar Rapids and took them to court and won. So maybe by winning their lawsuit, that's put a little damper on some of that.
Maybe they're coming back for.
Maybe they're coming back for revenge, yeah, I don't
Every
know.
apartment for safety reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cedar Rapids. Yeah, they want to pass key in every apartment for safety reasons.
Yeah, they've got a lot of issues over there, but you know
Well, the
what?
landlords have bring volume.
Okay, class. Here's the other, that brings up a good point. Some of these issues are very local issues and have to be fought that way. And so, as a group, you've got to be organized to work local politics, like city council people and all that, and you guys have done that well. You've got a history on that. And then the things that are appropriately the state issues, like landlord-tenant type of things, we have to be strong on the state level. And, you know, if you've got time, there's probably federal issues. So that's about all I've got for you, unless you got another question. Yes, Gary?
Joe, I think that, and I've talked to Christine Tinsley, City Council, I think the time is really right now, and this organization should be pushing this fact to get a tax-exempt property in this city, county to pay for fire, police, and rescue. I think it's right. I think the legislation is listening to this, but no one's pushing it. I think that's the problem. And in the city budget, 1/3 of the city budget is police, fire, and rescue of the money. So if these properties are exempt, which they're talking, some people have estimated as much as 40 or higher percent in the county not paying taxes, and in the state, that this would make a tremendous reduction. It could make a big reduction in
Well,
property.
it probably does in places like Des Moines
Right.
and other places got a lot of government.
And I think there needs to be a group here put together to go to the legislature and start pushing this, because no one's pushing it.
That could be part of the whole property tax bill if they do want it to.
You're right, but from the gal in the city council, Christine Henry, she says that there's people out there that are wanting to push this.
Yeah. Well, I think on something like that, I would need direction from the whole board of the organization as to whether we should get behind that or not get behind that. But I'm sure that people are listening, so thank you for bringing that up. Anybody else? I think we need to get the rest of the show on the road here. Thank you guys. I appreciate being with you.